so that we can enjoy the lovely presentation on time as well. And as you can see, our lovely speaker, Rukmangada, has already turned on his video because he is excited to start sharing his presentation with you guys. All right, now without further ado, I will now pass the floor to our lovely speaker, Rukmangada. The floor is now yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here. Let me go ahead. So just give me a minute and I'm going to share my screen. Should we wait or continue? So we are 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Oh yes, we can start right away, not to worry.
Okay, nice.
So for those of you who are with us right now, yes, we are ahead of schedule. So thank you for being here, and we're gonna start the session right now. Just tell your friends, if you know they're not here yet, that they can still make it. All right, looks like the slides are ready. I shall now pass the floor. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you again. I'll not take much of your time to the boring slides, right? And I'll very quickly, I just have only 4 slides, and I'll very quickly walk you through this, what we are trying to do. And then I'll take you through the product, what we have built, and or what we want to build with all of your support. So Testsigma is an open source test automation platform built for everyone, or built to democratize test automation. We have seen test automation has been used mostly for by mid and enterprise or big teams. That's what we're trying to change now, and it is needed for everyone. And that's why I say let's build a platform for everyone. And with test automation, right, and with this codeless test automation approach, we are trying to bring everyone on board into this quality process, right, and including the non-tech or tech people, like both QA analysts and SDRs, developers, PMs, and so on. So I'll very quickly talk about why it is really needed, right? And why do we need to bring everyone on board, right? And as we all know that every company is trying to integrate testing into every stage in the cycle, right? Right from the planning to coding, building, testing, release, and even after deployment, there is a certain degree of testing happens, right? For that reason, and if you have to do this testing at every stage, and Q analysts cannot, or SDETs cannot be part of every stage, that's why it is really important to enable everyone in each of those stages to kind of test their own code or test their own the functionality of their applications. So that's what the World Quality Report also says, that don't silo the responsibility of for QA, just share it, make it a shared responsibility and bring everyone on board, and so that you can release your software much faster. The current problem, right, the status quo here is the current test stacks. I'll talk about that also, and not in detail, but very high level. They're not built for the for everyone, right? And because SMEs, subject matter experts like your PMs or business analysts or QAs are left out of the current automation process, right? And they'll not know what is happening inside, or they cannot directly contribute unless they have that expertise. There is a high degree of technical expertise required to participate in this test automation process. And because of that, the result of that is it's very slow in test development and takes a little longer than expected timelines to release softwares. And there's a huge high investment, and also takes longer payback time, right? And ROI time is even now, many companies doesn't know what's their ROI times, right? The solution here that we are trying to bring in to solve this problem is we are trying to reduce the dependency on skills. That's through a codeless approach or low code approach that we are going to talk about. And make test automation more inclusive, means make test automation part of every stage in your life cycle, right? And this DLC or development cycle or testing cycle. So broadly, there are three types of 3 categories, right? One, either we do it manually, though I don't prefer to call it manual testing. So just for the namesake, I had to put that. where we perform all this manually that we all are familiar with. And there are like the other category of tools or process that we have here is custom built frameworks or custom built test stacks, like where we build test stack on top of Selenium, Appium, Cypress, or a few other tools, right? The Beat Playwright or Puppeteer. So these are like very modern automation testing tools. But there are like many challenges with this approach. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a very different topic altogether. So the third approach that we are going to discuss a little more in detail is the modern tools or the codeless automation testing tools. So we all know that, like, I mean, that's why we're here, right? And so the last 2 days, we've heard a lot about codeless approach, codeless test automation. And here, the biggest problem, I'm not saying like there's a problem with every codeless automation testing tool, but in general, like some of these are true for every tool, every codeless automation testing tool out there. So they are easy to begin with, but they don't scale, right? And as we all know, right, and record and playback has been there for decades now, but I don't think any company would use it for their enterprise dynamic applications because they don't scale. They don't integrate well with the developer or dev and QA tools, right? Other tools. Like if it is an open source, you know how to integrate with other tools in the ecosystem, like because the developer and test ecosystems, test stacks are heavy on open source, right? And open source tools integrate well with other tools in the ecosystem. But these codeless vendor-backed automation testing tools, again, as I said, like not every tool. So some of these tools has integrations with other tools already, but if you have to build your own custom integration, then you're almost stuck, or you kind of hit a roadblock there. And the most important thing is like they're not extendable. Like the power that you get with the custom built frameworks is like, let's say you start with something basic, but eventually your automation requirements also would grow, right? And when you find a new requirement, you can easily extend your automation frameworks if you go with the custom built stacks. But whereas with the codeless or vendor-backed tools, it's almost impossible. I don't say impossible, but it's very difficult to extend the platforms if you have to. And it requires multiple tools, right? And again, as I said, like now every environment is heterogeneous, right? And means like we have multiple things to test. We have performance testing, we have load testing, we have functional testing, and functional testing, again, we have web, mobile, API, database, PDF, CSVs, and so on. There are many, right? And requires multiple tools, and they don't integrate well. And that's what I said, like with the custom built frameworks, even though you work with multiple tools, you still get that flexibility or that freedom to extend and integrate with every other tool. It doesn't work for like complex cases. I'll talk about that also when I demonstrate the product. And vendor locked, as I said, like if you choose this codeless automation testing tools, you'll have to live with what you get, but you will not get that freedom to build what you want. And very broadly, just to summarize, this is what it is, right? The current codeless tools are not extendable to scale. And I just generalized it, but like there are tools who does a good job in terms of the extendability, but that extendability and what is really matters, like the extendability needs to come in different sites, right? Like you need to have an extendability to generate your data. So there are like 5 stages in your test automation, right? You are planning, designing, development, execution, analysis, and reports and integrations. You need to have the flexibility to integrate across these stages in your test life cycle. Right, so there are tools who has this extendability in 1 or 2, but what we need is like extendability across all these 5 stages in your or 5 categories in your test life cycle. So what we are trying to build is an open source platform. It's as simple as your record and playback tools, and gives you the flexibility that as flexible as like any of these custom built frameworks. It works out of the box, and it has like web, mobile, web API. Like you don't need multiple tools for your end-to-end testing requirements. There is no vendor lock-in. As I said, like it is open source, though it is a modern scriptless or a codeless low-code automation testing tool. There's no vendor lock-in. You can just take the open source and use it or customize it, do whatever you want to do with that code base or the Testsigma product. And since it's open source, it integrates well with your tools in the ecosystem. And we also have a default integrations. Apart from that, like if you feel that you need more freedom to integrate with your other tools in the ecosystem, that gives you the open source approach, gives you that flexibility. Just because it's open source, you can dig deep, understand like how the product was built. It's not like you see it and to believe it, right? And it's not just what I show you here in the product. You can really dig deep into the code and see how we had built the platform, and then see whether you can really customize and extend as you need, right? Like how you do that with your custom build frameworks. That's that's really unique to Testsigma. With that, like I'll close this slide. So now that I've talked enough about like our approach and everything, I'll just take you to this product and show you what we have and how you can really do this with the codeless approach. I'm going to log into a cloud account, but if you want to set up your own account or your own instance on your using Docker, there is a documentation available. I can just go here and follow the instructions. It's only a 3-step process. Just download the Docker Compose file and change the properties as per your the machine configurations, and then run this command Docker Compose app, and we'll start all the processes, the Docker containers for you to start working on it. Right, and it's just a 3-4 step process and fairly easy. And if you have any questions or if you're finding it difficult, there is a community support available. Just join us on the Discord. Just click on the Discord server. We'll take you to the Discord server, and we can post all your questions related to the Testsigma, or we are happy to discuss anything in general as well. Right now, I'm going to log into the cloud account so that it's easy for me to navigate and help you complete this on time. And just say login. I'm sorry for this. Sorry. As I said, like it's automation is not just about writing scripts, right? You need multiple other elements, right? Like as I said, like you need a planning module where you can plan. You need a module where you can design your tests, and you need like a module where you can develop your test cases. I mean, you need a test lab management module, like where you can manage all your devices and where you want to execute. And on top of it, you need a test management, test data management, all this you need, right? And that's when you can say that like you have a complete test automation platform. So that's what Testsigma is all about. Like it's a complete platform for it has everything that you would need for your auto test automation. So a dashboard and all, I'll come back to that later, and we have extensions and all of that. We'll talk about it later. And let me quickly jump into this and the test cases, and let's see how to build a scenario or a test case, or how to automate a test case for one of the sample. And let's go with mobile first, because we have seen enough web applications so far the world. Let's start with the mobile, and then we'll go back to that web later. So this is where we manage all your test cases. As I said, it has the inbuilt test management as well. Can see all of that powerful test management features. Let's say demo test case, and I'll just give some random names so that I don't get into the duplicate issues. And as I said, these are the test management features that we have, right? And you can assign to a particular user or someone so that whenever there's a failed test and the test fails, you really don't need to run around to see who would fix it or whom you can reach out to fix, right? And notification would be sent to your assignee automatically. And there is a review process. Let's say if you want to get it reviewed by someone, you can assign so that we'll send notifications and get it reviewed. You can also set the type of your test that you are trying to perform and the priority, because these are really important. Otherwise, if you don't get it here, right, and you'll have to integrate all or manage or create a dummy test in your test management feature and set all these parameters or attributes so that you can create your test plans better, right? Otherwise, you end up creating random test plans with with the priority, like with the random priorities and random modules, right, which is not good. Test data profile and all, I'll come back to that later. Just select something for now, but let's see. Let's say we create a test case, and here we go ahead and write the Testsigma. Testsigma is a simple English-based automation testing tool. You'll just have to write your actions in simple English, and then we'll convert them into automated actions. That's one of the approach. And the second approach is you can just go ahead and record. I'll show you, like, it's very different from what you would have seen already in terms of the record and playback approach. It's not a typical record and playback approach. It's very different. So right now I'm going to use the Testsigma lab. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to use one of the devices available on cloud, in our cloud. You can also connect with any of the cloud vendors like BrowserStack, Sauce Labs, or Lambda Test, anything, or you can go with your local devices. You can connect your local device and start inspecting the elements, just like how you use in Appium, right? And here I have a pre-uploaded APK file. Means like we're going to test Android files. If you want to upload new file again, you can do it from here. And the device that we're going to use to create this test is Google Pixel 6, which is there in our cloud. So this is where I was saying, like, here you can go ahead and start building your actions. For example, let's say if you want to tap on something, you just say tap, and then you would get all these relevant suggestions right below this action text field. Just go through them and pick the relevant or right one. Like, for example, let's say tap on element, right? Here element is the button or some like element that you would like to automate or interact with on your application. If these elements are available already in the platform, if you see right, and these are the elements that are already available in the platform, you can go ahead and choose. That's why, as I said, like, it is not a typical record and playback. You get the flexibility or the power of your custom built frameworks while maintaining the simplicity of your record and playback approach. So for example, let's say you don't want to go with this manual, you still prefer a record and playback approach, right? And you can just go ahead and do that as well here, right, from this. Just say, let's say the next step here is to skip on this, click on skip, right? And that's what we did here. I'll just change this to landscape mode so that I get this. You can see that, like, I change this to landscape mode and I can see that action is being captured. And now I click on this tab and then click on tab. Some reason, and this is what I was talking about, right? And now with the record and playback, every time you will capture the element again and again, right? And if there's a change in the element, you will have to record or recapture all those elements, and I mean, like, all the tests where this particular element is being used, right? And with this modern like the Testsigma's approach, even though you click on the same element again to capture that step again one more time, or record that step one more time in a different test case, and you would still get this suggestion, okay, so there's an element already available, do you want to use it, or you still want to create a new element, right? So this here will be able to automatically identify, so use existing element and continue. So now you see that, like, we have not duplicated that element, means like you are going to save a lot of your time in maintenance. I'll just change this back to the normal mode. And now let's say you want to enter some data into this search field, right? And I'm going to click on this search, and then let's say enter, enter like let's say I want to search about big data, right? And just click on enter and your step has been captured. So same here again, this search Wikipedia bar is already available and I'm going to reuse that. So this is what we have captured, right? And let's say you want to, because the data here is hard coded, that's not what you want, right? And the data you want to parameterize, right? So you can read your test data from 8 different sources. Like you can parameterize it. For example, if you remember, we have associated a test data profile with this. There is a test data profile called search data, and you can read from there. Or the other types is like you can save it and reuse it in your subsequent test cases. Or you can have environment level parameters, like if you have dev, staging, production, pre-production kind of environments, you can manage all your data from here. You can randomize it, like let's say you want to generate 15 characters of alphanumeric string. You can do that with a random type. Our data generators, like these are the default data generators available to kind of use to generate unique data sets. For example, you can generate unique first name, last name, prefix, title, and so on. There are like hundreds of default data generators available. You can also build or extend this to create more data generators. For example, let's say you have custom logic to generate a reference ID if you are a banking application or if you are a support system, right? Let's say as soon as I submit a ticket and I would get a reference ID, right? And as a tool, like we would not know what is that reference ID or how to generate a reference ID, right? That's where you can create a data generator to generate that unique reference IDs and use it here. For now, I'll just go ahead with the parameter because that's what we have associated. And so we're going to input the data. So this is again, this will become a data-driven test now because the data we are going to read is from a different data profile. If you have like multiple data sets in your data profile, it would run multiple times automatically. And then let's say like it's all fine, right? Like these are like very straightforward case. Like what if you have conditional statements? What if you have loops? And while like iterate over certain steps until this something is true or something is visible, right? You can use while loop, or you can use for loop if you want to test this or enter data with multiple data sets. You can use for loops, or you can also say conditional flow, right? And for example, if like for example, let's say if the element is visible, let's say if the login is visible only, then we want to click on it, right? The element here is login. Like let me search if I have a login. Okay, good. So I have login and I'm going to use the login here. And if not, like I can capture that element right here and then move on. And now I'll add steps inside. You see add step inside. And now I'll go ahead and add some step, like for example, I'd click on this tab. If the button is visible only, then I'll click on it. Same thing again, it is present. So I'm going to use this and now enter. Sure, for some reason it is okay. I'll just see tab on. Login. Tab on element. Okay. So this you can also add like else if or else can do all of that. And I'm going to stop here because in interest of time, I would like to show you the web and other features that we have. And now we are done. I'm going to quit the session. I will go back to the test case and you see this is the test that we have captured very clearly. And so if this is, and if you want to reorder, right? And like, for example, this is not correct and I can just save this and update it. And let's say this is not necessary, and I'm going to delete it and tap on login, and this is how your test would look like now. You can go ahead and add more steps even from here. If you have all the elements captured, there's a separate workflow. Like you can go to the elements, capture all the elements in a screen in one shot or one go, and then you can start building your scenarios. All these elements are centrally managed, so that you can know if there is any change in a particular screen, you can go ahead and update these elements directly. But if it is a Testsigma's cloud, we use AI to auto heal the test cases. You don't need to really update anything manually. You can also identify affected test cases. For example, whenever there's a change in a particular screen on an element, what generally we do as like the tech leads or a test lead is like we go through all the tests in that particular module, and we find the affected test cases to create a regression plan, right? So with Testsigma, you can just by clicking on this, you can find all the affected test cases, test plans, test suits, right? And there's only one as of now, but like if you have more, you can see all of them here, and then select. Click on run, will create a test plan immediately, and will show give you the results for all the affected test cases. So that's about the elements. Let me go back to the test case to show you how to run the test case, right? And now that we have built this test case, and just click on run, will give you 3 different options. Like right now, there's only 2. You can also, as I said, like you can also integrate with your favorite the device labs, with browser stacks, OS labs, Alhambra test, Cobiton, and so on. Right now, I'm going to use a Testsigma lab. If you remember, we have used this device to build the test, and I'm going to use a different device. Now you can select multiple devices to run across all these devices, not one at a time. There is a way. There's an option for you to select multiple devices in one go. And here we are going to use APK file. This is a static or hard coded, but if you want to integrate this with your CI/CD pipeline, there is a API using which you can update this APK files as and when there's a new build is available. Click on run now. Will take you to this run results page. On a failed test case, right? There could be two possibilities. One, it could be a false failure, means like you need to update your test case. And then like if it is a false failure, just need to change the status back to rework, and then we'll send a notification to that assigned user. So you don't need to, and add your comments. Okay, this test is failing, just take a look at it, or whatever you want to communicate. There's no Slack required. There is no URL copying or nothing, right? Just change the status back to rework, and it will go as a notification to us. There's a complete workflow setup. That's what I said, right? And it's not just about writing scripts. You need a complete workflow and the complete ecosystem too. And on a true failure, right? And on a true failure, you might want to file a bug report into your favorite bug reporting tools. Once you integrate with your bug reporting tools, let this run. I'll show you how to integrate this with your bug reporting tools. So these are the integrations available. If you select bug reporting, so you can integrate with any of these tools, and just by a click, you can send all your data, right? Whatever you see in this page. Okay. And a result page, you get a screenshot, logs, and it's a failed test, by the way. Let's see why it failed. Here, okay, we have not enabled the screenshot. Okay, we have enabled. So here you can clearly see that the screenshot, video recordings, logs, and the device configuration that we have used, and the time when we executed. All this data will be sent to your bug reporting tool for your developers to debug. So there's no back and forth. And generally, your developers would ask, like, when did you execute, which build that you execute, and tell me the time, device configuration. Do you have video recordings? Do you have screenshots? Do you have logs? And or tell me the metadata that you have used, right? And the test data that you have used sometimes. And all that can be shared like automatically with your bug reporting tool just by integrating with your bug tools. It's a failed test, and let me see, enter topic. For example, the reason here is it didn't click on this escape. Action performed successfully, but it didn't really go forward. You have, okay, it did. And then what happened after that? Okay, it was not able to enter in the search field. So the reason here, you can clearly see cannot perform the action, though the element may not be present or non-interactive at this stage. So this element is in non-interactive, and now you can go ahead and debug. You have the evidence also, right? And okay, the element is present, but it says that non-interactive. So you can just quickly go and recapture it if you want, or if you already have like the details, you can just update it. So even your reports are very actionable. Right there, you can fix it and then rerun. Just click on rerun, and you can take it forward. So I'll not spend much time here because I have more features to demonstrate, and I'll go back to the test cases again, and let me walk you through from here. I think we've discussed about the elements, and the next option, I'll come back to. I see a question here.
We are nearing the Q&A session. Would you be able to wrap up within the next 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, I'll let me finish it because I want to cover a little more. Okay, we have test data profiles. I'll come back to that because in interest of time, I know we have only 10 minutes at max, right? How much time we have? 10 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Here is where we can manage all your test data. So either you can import or create your own data profiles. Like it's pretty simple. Just add your columns, rows, and like how you build your Excel sheets. I'll leave it for now. And here's where you manage all your APK files, IPA files for all your API, like the mobile app testing. You can also manage your requirements right here. So like it has complete test management features as well, right? You can see the like once you click on requirement, you can see how many tests are being, like how many tests are present in this particular requirement. There are 10 automated test cases in this particular requirement. You can also see the coverage, like you can set an expectation and see how much, what's your progress and so on. And the next step, once you build all your test cases, the next step would be to create your test suits, right? And let's say I call it smoke test suite. And you can select all your tests that you want to add as part of this smoke test. And like, let's say you can apply filter and filter by module, filter by type, or let's say you want to create only the critical test cases. You can do that by applying filter here. And here you can also fix the order in which you want to run your test cases. Sometimes like it's not that like you cannot execute all your tests randomly. So you can fix the order in which you can execute it. And that's how you can create your test suits. And once you build your test suits, the next step would be to set up your test plans. So test plan is nothing but like where you bring in all your test suits together to run across multiple test missions. For example, let's say you want to run a bunch of test suits every night, and I call it nightly. And I would select the Testsigma lab to run all these test cases. And you can select, okay, I want to run on like Android 12, Google Pixel, and let's say you want to run on Android 11 with the different device. Let me see if I get any other device. Okay, Samsung Galaxy, and then add, you can keep adding all your devices, whatever you want to test on. And then you select all your test suits. Like remember, we created the test cases first, and then we created test suits. And now we are creating a test plan where we add all your test cases, test suits. Here again, you can fix the order in which you want to run your test cases. If you want to run all of them in sequential order, you can select. All this will run in parallel by default. You can also distribute if you want to save time or get faster feedback. For example, like let's say we have 3 tests, right? And all of them would run in 3 different, the same configuration, right? If you want to distribute one in different missions, you can do that as well with the distributed testing. And you can send for notifications on failure, on when it is passed and failed, or different statuses to email IDs, Slack channels, Microsoft Teams. You can integrate with all your communication tools. You can also enable visual testing. So we have visual testing capabilities also as part of this platform. Along with like for every step, we take a screenshot and we compare that with the previous successful builds. On failures, for everything, like for a test step or a test case, test suite and test plan, you can set a prerequisite. You can decide what to do on a prerequisite failure. On a major step failure, you can say stop execution and so on. I'll just quickly wrap it up. And now once you set up a test plan, there will be three different options to run this test plan. One, you can integrate with your CI/CD pipelines, like we have integrations with all these popular tools, and also API if you have if you are using a tool other than any of these two here. The second option is like you can schedule these executions to run at periodic intervals, like the daily at a particular time, or weekly, monthly, or you can decide the frequency and set up your scheduled executions. Or just click on run now, will take you will trigger executions immediately. So now once the test plan is set up, as and when you add more test cases or a new test case, you just need to add to the right test suite, and then your test plans will pick up those tests automatically. Very quickly, the runs are very comprehensive. We have a very comprehensive reports. Will give you the status of each of your build. Like here, you can see for this test plan, and we ran this test plan 4 times, and you can see results. All of them are failing, and you can also see it's very interactive and very dynamic. You can customize your report, and you can apply a filter and create your own report. For example, let's say if you want to see a report of all the failed tests assigned in a particular module, you can apply a filter and get that. You can also see a quick distribution of like how many tests are failing and where. You can also see test mission results and so on. So that's about the mobile and end-to-end. Very quickly, let me switch to a web part, and I'll take just 2 minutes so that we can move on to that question and answers. Before that, integrations we have very quickly talked about. As I said, like integrations plays a very big and crucial role in this test automation process. We have integrations with all these categories of tools like bug reporting, collaboration tools, and test labs, and project management tools, and CI/CD tools. And web. So let me create a test, and it's pretty same. Like for it's a unified approach and unified platform, as I said, right? The approach is same. Instead of okay, the test already exists, and I just give some random name. And now just need to let me start with this website. I'll try to automate this travel sample website. So navigate to travel.com, travel.testsigma.com, and then just click on record. Will take you to this page, and just perform your actions, and you will be able to capture. There's one of the options, as I said, like just like how we recorded and added these steps manually, you can do both from here as well. So so it's like I call it autopilot mode. Just record when it is really ideal and good ideal conditions are. You take control and build your scenarios with all the reusable components. You can also add a step group. Like for example, we already have a login steps. We can just add the login steps here and then continue recording all of these actions. So that's on the website, and I'll stop it here, and then we'll move on to that question and answers. I see there are many questions.
All right, fantastic. Yes, we do have many questions, but we'll only be able to do 5 minutes worth of them. So let's just try to answer as many as we can, all right? Yes. All right, so the first question is a little bit long, so maybe we'll skip that one and move it for the Discord, since the first question is literally a bunch of questions put together. Yeah. The next question here is synchronization for weight we can apply or we can done based on conditional statement.
So synchronization like can apply on a weight, and also the step level you would get that option to really wait on a particular thing and do all of that. Like yes, so it has like we have 3 different options for this weight and synchronization issues, and this is one of the major issues that we see with the typical the programming based tools, and we have addressed that in Testsigma.
All right.
How many free trial Testsigma provides? It is 30-day free trial, and also there is a free version community edition available. There is no limit. I mean, of course, there's a limit on the usage, but the community edition is completely free to use. Just go ahead and use it. And if you want to install an open source edition, so there is no restrictions at all. Absolutely free. You can just go ahead and use it.
Does it have OCR capability?
Yes, so we have. You can reach out to us on Discord channel. Like we'll be able to help you with this.
All right. And how unique is it compared to other low-code tools?
So as I said, like the low code, yes, it is required, but like we are missing that extendability and flexibility. So that's what we bring in, and it's an open source approach. We know that like we cannot solve every problem, and we leave it to you or the community to build whatever you need. That's how we are very unique. It's an open source test automation platform that itself will gives you the power and flexibility to build as you need. It's not, I don't say it's best, it works out of the box, but it gives you that flexibility and freedom to customize as you need that you don't get with any other low code or no code test automation platforms.
Okay, and does Testsigma support parallel
yeah,
testing?
yes, I think I've demonstrated that as part of this distributed testing. So we do the parallel executions. Parallel execution is default by default in Testsigma.
All right. And the next question here is from Bharati. And Bharati, sorry, we skipped your first one since it was so long, but we're happy to attend to your next question, which is what is that test data profile in the tool? In which use case do you set up the data profile? What are all the options available in the test data profile dropdown?
So test data profile, like if you want to use a data-driven testing, for example, let's say you have a login form on to test that across multiple, with multiple hundreds of data sets, right? Both valid, invalid credentials, you can use that. And there is, I think I've covered that as part of very quickly, where you can build and then associate with your test cases. So when you build it, it's like your Excel sheets that you can read data from.
The next question here is test data profile generate synthetic data? If yes, what kind of algorithm used and what kind of input is required for data generation?
So it's something like a Faker library as of now. All the default data generators that you see here in Testsigma as like follows something similar to that. But yes, as I said, like you can also extend and customize your data generators as you need with your own custom logic, or build an add-on and publish it for everyone to use. So I would highly recommend you if you have any unique ideas, and we are happy to discuss and take it forward.
How many max TC? Okay, I'm not sure what TC means, but how many max TC we can run using Testsigma tool using Suite?
There's no limit as such. You can add as many as you want. I mean, of course, like you cannot add no more than 5,000, 10,000 test cases. It becomes a little difficult to manage. Keep your test cases or test suits as lean, as small as possible. But like there's no limit as such. If you want to do it, you can go ahead and do it.
Can we pull report of bugs logged against failed test cases from the tool?
Yes. So you can add label in your bug reporting tool for all the tests that you file from a test automation tool like Testsigma, and then you can pull a report.
Nice. And a great open source QA tool, how to contribute on such projects?
Hey, Jay Kumar, like I mean, you just go to testsigma.com and there is a Discord option channel open there, right? And just join there and just ping us or let us know, and we'll be happy to take this forward. And thanks for coming forward. Yeah, please join our Discord server. We can discuss that.
All right, so we are nearing the end of the Q&A session. I believe we can take one more question, which is from Pooja. Is there a way to prepare RTM through this tool?
Yes. So again, it's evolving and it might take some time. Yes, but we're happy to take this forward conversation as well in our Discord. And I would like to take this one more question, which I've missed, unfortunately. What about API testing? Yes, API testing is also possible. And it's a platform, as I said, like it's a platform. Very quickly, if you see, all these are like the tools built on top of this platform, like PDF testing, database testing, or broken link finder. We can build like very good, interesting add-ons on top of this platform, and invite you all to come forward and add to this list. Yes, API testing is part of it, which I've missed, part of the platform by default, which I've missed in my demo.
All right, no issues. And it looks like we've come to the end of the Q&A session. Thank you all so much for all of your lovely questions. And again, if any unanswered questions, they will be taken offline after the conference through our Discord channel, which you can find the link to join via the chat box. And before we end the session, I would like to ask Rukmangada, would you have any final last words that you'd like to say before we conclude your session?
Yes, definitely. Thanks for joining this call, and please join us on Discord and share all your thoughts and ask all your questions there. And we'd be happy to take this forward. And our website URL is just testsigma.com. And if there's a way to share, I will share with you all. But like you can, otherwise you can just go online and type testsigma.com, and then you'll find everything.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Rukmangada, for being our speaker. We really appreciate you joining and spending your time and energy to share your knowledge and expertise. Highly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, guys. Take care. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you so much. Now, for everyone else here, as you might expect, there was, if you wanted a quiz, but there is no quiz for this session, but not to worry, there are still more quizzes coming on the way. Speaking of which, that concludes this session. So if you're watching this from a mobile, be sure to switch over to your desktop version to get the best user experience from Zoom events. And as well, when you join the next session, there may be a quiz, so stay tuned. All right, so this concludes this session. I will now end the webinar, which will teleport all of us back to the lobby, and we'll now join the next session, and we'll continue from then on. See you guys there. Bye-bye.